What's up, guys? So I'm going to try and do one of these conspiracy theory videos every sort of 3 months. And if sort of no new theories about particular things have come out, then I'll just sort of revisit a big one and give sort of my thoughts on it. But we've had a lot come out in the last couple of months since I did my first one in January, and it's all been about COVID-19, and since we are all social distancing, self-isolation ourselves at the moment, and not really connecting with people in the what has been dubbed normal way online, I figured that this would be sort of the topic to talk about. That end, no one's talking about anything else online at the moment. This has sort of been the big ticket item as far as online stories go. Anyway, all my links and stuff will be in the description down below if you want to read these for yourself. But I'm going to start off with the first theory of that this pandemic that we're currently in has been predicted not just once but multiple times. So I'm on independent.co.uk, and its little article has, whether it's a Disney princess locked away in self-isolation or a book warning of a severe pneumonia-like illness that would sweep the earth in 2020, moments in pop culture from throughout the years are enjoying a resurgence of predicting the coronavirus pandemic. From pieces of fiction that feature the word corona, the city of Wuhan, the year 2020, or certain symptoms have all resurfaced, with fans pointing out that these dystopic worlds serve as an eerily accurate reflection of today's events. And so we've got here all the films, television shows, and books that have predicted this outbreak. So we've got The Eyes of Darkness by Dean Koontz, which has also been shared as another book, End of Days, Predictions and Prophecies by the End of the World by Sylvia Browne. If you look at these paragraphs side by side, they are exactly the same. The only difference is that Eyes of Darkness is 1981, and where did it go? It doesn't give a publishing, 2008 for Sylvia Browne's End of Days book, meaning that there's a good 20 years between the two. Just enough time for everyone to forget that one book said that one thing, and to basically rewrite the paragraph, because they are shot for shot the exact same. I'll try to find some images and place. This one here will be Eyes of Darkness. This one here will be End of Days, and as you can see, they are basically the exact same. But Eyes of Darkness, this 1981 novel, revolves around a grieving mother investigating the mysterious circumstances of her son's death. Buried deep within it is a peculiar reference to a killer virus known as Wuhan 400, the name of the city where the coronavirus originated. One character calls the virus the perfect weapon for biological warfare. And End of Days, this book by self-proclaimed psychic has seen a surge in sales after claiming a global pandemic akin to coronavirus world would occur around 2020. In 2008, it states, in around 2020, a severe pneumonia-like illness will spread throughout the globe, attacking the lungs and bronchial tubes and resisting all known treatments. We've then, of course, got big player, The Simpsons, which fans obviously believe that it predicts everything. So it predicted coronavirus back in 1993. The season 4 episode Marge in Chains depicts a global pandemic that originated in Japan called Osaka flu. Given coronavirus originated in Wuhan, China, more than 100 kilometers away from the Japanese city of Osaka, it would be fair to say that this is one of The Simpsons' less accurate predictions, although claiming that it would be from a country that basically borders it. I know there's a sea in the middle there, but they are basically side by side. Yeah, it's the same region of the world, so I would say that that's, I mean, it would be less accurate if they said that it came from Italy or something, since Italy has been one of the worst affected countries. That would still be a... Anyway, in 2010, the Disney film Tangled, Rapunzel spends her days locked away in a tower. Some have taken this to be in self-isolation and staying away from the rest of the world. The strange coincidence is that in this version of the classic tale, the princess lives in the kingdom of Corona. So she is self-isolating herself away from Corona, and people think that that means that Disney predicted this. If we really wanted to indulge this, then Mother Gothel is basically the government which has forced us into self-isolation away from Corona, and in that sense, sure, but at the same time, Corona is literally just Latin for crown, and Rapunzel grows up not knowing that she's a princess, and yeah, the whole point of that film is that she gets out of the tower, it being based on Rapunzel and whatnot. We've then got the Marburg virus by Stanley Johnson. Boris Johnson's father Stanley has claimed a novel he wrote 40 years ago predicted the pandemic. You can't claim that you predicted something 40 years ago once it starts happening. I mean, that, you know, that's like me writing a World War I or World War II novel and then claiming that yeah. Anyway, that's not the right way around of events to occur, but I assume that the general idea got across. Anyway, in a piece for The Telegraph, he wrote how his book, The Marburg Virus, imagined the outbreak of a deadly contagious virus. The basic drive for my plot was the pressure of time, the urgent need to find some antidote or means of immunization to protect populations before they were overwhelmed by the disease, in spite of the measures of containment or delay, he wrote. Stanley also said he would ignore advice from health officials to avoid non-essential contact and continue going to the pub. So he's not exactly the go-to expert when it comes to a pandemic. The Netflix TV show My Secret Terrorists seemed to accurately predict the coronavirus pandemic back in 2018. The 10th episode of the Korean series makes mention of a deadly illness which has been used to refer to several viruses before it became associated with COVID-19 outbreak. Impression scenes from the show, a doctor can be heard saying the coronavirus attacks the respiratory system, adding, "What's more serious is that the coronavirus has an incubation period of 2 to 14 days. Considering that this is a little bit more recent, and that the coronavirus is a wide range of varying things, which does actually include the common cold virus, it's not that hard to see how this was just easily based on real world science and medicine at that. In one episode of The Big Bang Theory, a paranoid Sheldon tries to avoid getting infected by a deadly disease. He's also a germaphobe, so this makes sense. He ends up in hospital anyway under a 2-week quarantine. In the prequel series, young Sheldon, he excuses himself from class because he doesn't want to die, and later he's seen watching the news on TV wearing a mask while the newsreader discusses a virus that originated in China that is particularly contagious among old people and children. I don't know how a prequel series that's supposed to be set in like the 70s is predicting a 2020 outbreak, but sure, that's what we've got. Alright, so there is also this conspiracy theory about what I'm going to call this particular theory, the Chinese virus theory, just to poke a little bit of fun at Donald Trump here. It's quite in depth, so I'm going to try and breeze through it as quickly as possible. So, the coronavirus traveled the entire world from Wuhan, but it did not reach Beijing and Shanghai. Which, you know, if you look at like how it's spread and stuff, seems logical, but again, did not reach two of the biggest cities in China. The Chinese stock markets didn't crash, the American and European markets did. So, basically this theory comes from this book by Chinese Colonel Xiao Liang, I believe that's how it's pronounced, and Wang Jiangsu from 1999, titled Unrestricted Warfare, China's Master Plan to Destroy America. And you can actually get it on Amazon and read the whole thing, but we've got like a 10-step thing here. It's called the Great Chinese Stage. So step 1 would be to create a virus and the antidote. Step 2 would be to spread the virus. Step 3, a demonstration of efficiency, building hospitals in a few days. After all, you were already prepared with the projects, ordering the equipment, hiring the labor, the water and sewage networks, the prefabricated building materials, and stocked in an impressive volume. Right, so you've created this virus and an antidote. You then spread the virus, and because you already knew that this was what you were going to be doing, you've already got all the equipment there to very quickly set up hospitals and like street hospitals and stuff. This would then start causing chaos in the world, starting with Europe. It would then quickly plaster the economy of dozens of countries. It would stop production lines in factories in other countries, cause stock markets to fall, and you'd be able to buy companies up at a bargain price because they would want to be making money, and capitalism, that's how it works. You can, if a stock market, if the price of a company falls to a certain bit, you can then buy them out. You would then quickly control the epidemic in your own country. After all, you have the antidote. You then lower the price of commodities, including the price of oil, that you would buy on a large scale. And then number 10, you'd get back to reducing quickly while the world is still at a standstill. But what you were able to buy cheaply during the crisis, you would then be able to sell at a higher price, as other countries would now be lacking those things, having their industries paralyzed. Now, I don't know how true any of this stuff is. This is just a theory, but the bit that I read this on also had how come Russia and North Korea are totally free of COVID-19, and to that I must say I haven't heard of any cases in Russia or North Korea. I also have not fully looked this up, so there could very well be some cases. It's just not enough to compare to the thousands in Italy or any of like the ones in my own country, which I get on the news all the time. But the explanation here is that they are staunch allies of China, and if China really was the one who developed the disease, then they would have already inoculated all of their allies as well with an antidote. However, on the other hand, South Korea, the United Kingdom, Italy, Spain, and the rest of Asia are severely hit, and Wuhan is apparently suddenly free of this deadly virus. China will say that their drastic initial measures they took was very stern, and Wuhan was locked down to contain the spread to other areas, which again does go back to very efficiently building hospitals in a matter of days, if this is in fact what they're actually doing. And another question that came up was, why was Beijing not hit? Why only Wuhan? Wuhan is like a backwater town sort of thing. It's not a very populated area. It's more or less sort of a low risk place to sort of start this virus in humans and have it spread out from there. Knowing the population of China, you'd very easily be able to get some people with this virus that takes a fortnight to start showing symptoms, and then very quickly send them out to other countries all over the world to very quickly spread the virus. Would also be another way to make sure that your allies, your military allies, don't get affected. Because as I mentioned in this little bit earlier, Wuhan is no longer affected by the virus, at least not as far as being in lockdown is concerned. It is that they are all open for business now. They're able to go about their business again. Again, to what degree, I don't know. America and all the other countries that I named above, like South Korea, United Kingdom, Italy, Spain, they're all devastated financially. The American economy will soon collapse as planned by China, obviously helped by the arrogance and just pure denialism of their leader. If Donald Trump was a little bit more realistic, he'd be able to have already had all of their focus on dealing with this rather than denying that it even exists. And I think if this theory is to be believed, I think China knew that, and they're like, well, we can easily just now the reasons as to why, according to this theory, as to why this has been the case is because China knows it cannot defeat the American military sort of head on in a war in that regard. So they use the virus to cripple the economy and paralyze the nation and its defense capabilities. And then, so lately Donald Trump has always been telling how great the American economy was improving on all fronts. The only way to destroy his vision of making America great again is to create an economic havoc. And this theory, whoever wrote this theory, has even included Nancy Pelosi as sort of working with China. She wasn't able to bring Donald Trump down through impeachment, so she's opened up the doorway for her co-conspirators to unleash this pandemic, which is just fucking insane to even think about. and then the epidemic in Wuhan therefore would have been like a showcase of this is what it can do. So yeah, China's president wore a simple RM1 face mask to visit those affected areas. The president, he should be covered from head to toe, but that was not the case. The theory obviously therefore stating that he was already injected to resist any harm from the virus, which means that a cure was already in place before the virus was released, which goes back to step one. Apparently Bill Gates in this had predicted the outbreak in 2015, so the Chinese agenda could not be true. However, it then goes on to state that yes, while Bill Gates did predict that there was going to be this outbreak back in 2015, the prediction was based on a genuine viral outbreak. China is also saying the virus was predicted well in advance, and obviously I've listed some of those beforehand. And so its agenda could play well along to match that prediction, which is why they would send it out to other countries as well instead of just America. You'd be able to cripple America and sort of move forward in a military fashion that way, while being like, oh, like the rest of the world has it too, so it can't be that we're attacking America, and therefore all of these predictions can be true, but China can still sort of secretly have its own plot going on. So sort of the baseline of this is that China's vision is to control the world economy by buying up stocks now from countries facing the brink of severe economic collapse. Later, China will announce that their medical researchers have found a cure to destroy the virus, and that now that they've got all the other countries' stocks in their arsenal, these countries will soon be slave to their masters, their Chinese overlords. And the doctor who declared the virus has also been silenced, whatever that means, by the Chinese authorities. So the only way to really know if this is actually going to be true is if all of a sudden China does say, hey look, we've created an antidote because it originated in our country, so we've been working on it the longest. Here, you can all have it. But by then, it'll be a case of have a look at what China's bought as far as keeping economies going. Alright, I got two more. I'm going to try and breeze through them. That was the biggest one. There's another one that has been going around the internet stating that there is a patent on the coronavirus. So this one doesn't make any sense. Severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus. Patent is US 200625785 It is a United States patent. So if it was a United States patent, how would it have started in China? Again, you could kind of just flip it around the other way, but then the fact that it was a US patent would mean that Donald Trump would be more on top of it, so that doesn't make sense. So there's that, and then after hearing that there were patents on this, it's like, well, there's patents on everything that gets invented, whether that's and in case you were wondering why would a patent be put out on a disease, they would be using the name of the disease to also refer to its antidote or its cure. Right, so there was another article that I saw online that had a as the US reported its first case of coronavirus, social media users began spreading misinformation suggesting the US government was aware of the virus for years, citing patents related to the virus as proof. Some posts said the virus was created in a lab. Now, I've seen dates going as far back as 2006 for these patents. There was one that was in Europe. There's a patent in Europe for a similar thing, and as I said before, they would just be using the name of the virus to refer to its antidote, as well as coronavirus is a full list of different strains, which includes the current COVID-19 strain that is the pandemic at the moment, as well as like the common cold and influenza. This one states that SARS, the bird flu, the swine flu, all of those ones that we've had pandemics of in recent years, they're all included within the coronavirus family, if you want to look at it like that. I myself had swine flu back in, that was 2009, I believe. So yeah, so this patent conspiracy that that all of the governments sort of knew that this was coming and aren't doing anything to protect the people is complete and utter nonsense. I do not believe this one at all. Like I said, they are sort of everywhere. There's patents on everything, and with how many different strains of coronavirus there are obviously going to be patents on each strain. Now, the last one isn't so much a conspiracy theory, it's more of a wanting to end this video on a good note. So if you are living in Australia, this one is particularly aimed at you guys. Now, I've done a little bit of research myself. As of 2019, population of Australia is around about, and obviously growing from these numbers, but around about 25.6 million people living in the entirety of Australia. Of that, around about 32% lives in New South Wales with a figure of 8.1 million, and out of that, 66% of it, constituting a full 21% of all of Australia, lives in Sydney with 5.3 million people. So you've got to keep in mind that these are all in the millions. So when you're hearing that our figures are X number of thousand, that's still only contributing to, say for instance, I know it's not this much, but say for instance we had 5,000 cases in all of Australia. That's still only equaling up to only, like, at best 1% of Sydney alone. We have very, very small cases, because we have done very well with our social distancing and staying away from people to flatten the curve. So if we continue to do this, we will be okay. 3 days ago, this article was posted on the ABC website. This is the Australian ABC website. The New South Wales lockdown, and obviously I was talking about New South Wales. I live in New South Wales, so of course I'm going to, but New South Wales lockdown will be lifted in 90 days as coronavirus cases fall. Our cases in Australia are falling. We are getting better. So I will read this one through I'm going to read the key points first. There's 3 of them, and I'll read the full article, and then we'll pretty much be done this video. So the key points: health authorities have confirmed 116 new cases in New South Wales, bringing the state's total to 2,298. And remember that that's in comparison to the 5.3 million in Sydney, and this is a state's total. And I happen to know that there are a couple of cases, at least a couple of, 2 handfuls of cases that are not in Sydney. So these aren't all in Sydney. It is across the entire state. So we've got to then compare that to the 8.5 million. So it's still a fairly low number. If you want to find out what percentage, I guess, you can easily just do the division of 8.5 million divided by 2,300. You'd only be adding an extra 2 there, but you're going to find that it's a fairly low number. The state's tough social distancing restrictions will be lifted on June 30. So you got April, May, June. We can get there, and that is the social distancing restrictions, not going into a full lockdown, not right. So as long as you can just stay away, only go out with one other person from within your own household at any other time, other than having to do things like essential shopping, going to work, doing study, that sort of thing. If you can stay at home for the next 3 months, give yourself a good excuse for a Netflix binge. I do have all of those ideas in a separate video, which I will try to link at the bottom of this one in the description. But as long as you sort of work your way through that list over the next 3 months, we should be fine. The other thing too is that this is kind of a good thing for us in the southern hemisphere, because we're coming into winter, so we're not going to be wanting to go out as much anyway. So basically, if we can stick to these social distancing restrictions, by the time it comes around to coming into warmer weather towards the end of the year, we should be okay to go out and enjoy the beach with all of our friends and such. So there is some light at the end of the tunnel here. However, until that date of June 30, people can face on-the-spot fines of $1,000 for breaking social distancing laws, which is basically anything that breaks any of those recommendations. They are actually laws, and you can be fined for them. Alright, so, full article reads: the New South Wales Police Commissioner has revealed the state's tough coronavirus enforcement laws are set to expire in 90 days and that he will not seek to extend them. The news comes as the Premier praised people for helping flatten the COVID-19 curve in Australia's worst affected state. Now, the worst affected state has 2,298 cases. I think we're doing pretty good. We've got a very small percentage that's actually affected. So, yeah, that is to be praised. But a very small percentage. There has been 116 new cases. We already talked about that bit. The Commissioner said the new powers that permit police to fine people for disobeying isolation orders had an end date. When's the turn-off period for these health orders? It's 90 days, he said. I certainly won't be seeking an extension. People will have gotten the message by then, hopefully. Yes, well, you can refer back to the little opening intro bit to this video to see how well people in literally the next town over are taking this. I do also want to defend myself by having taken that video. I was walking alone by myself, and there was no one around when I'd stopped to take that video. I was well within the laws there. I was also out doing not only exercise but doing some study for my photography course as well. So just to make sure that just to cover my ass there. So people in New South Wales are living under Australia's toughest coronavirus restrictions, and police have the power to deliver on-the-spot fines of $1,000 to individuals who breach those rules. The maximum penalty that can be given by court is $11,000 and 6 months in jail. So one way or the other, you are going to be inside for the next minimum 3 months. The only lawful reasons to leave the house are to work, study, to shop for food or other essentials, access medical care, or exercise alone or with one other person. And so, as I said before, I was out, what do we got here? Exercising alone and doing study. Beyond this, the New South Wales government has provided several reasons which would excuse someone for being outside, which includes fleeing an unsafe home or donating blood. And all of these links that I've referred to are going to be in the description down below as well. The state's coronavirus death toll remains at 10. 10 out of 8.5 million people. We've only lost 10 to this disease. So if you try to keep that in mind, that is a very minute percentage. So yeah, more than 108,000 people have been tested for coronavirus. So even out of people tested, 108, we've still only gotten 2.3 thousand people. So we're, again, that's a very small portion of even people that have been tested. The acceleration of cases in New South Wales isn't growing, which is a good thing, the Premier said. So we know we're having some level of success in reducing the spread. Australia's coronavirus lockdown is less strict than other countries, right? So we don't even have it the worst. In Lombardy, the worst affected Italian province, all outdoor physical activity is banned, while in Wuhan, the Chinese city where the virus originated, only one person from each household was permitted to go outside every 2 days at the height of the crisis. There is an app that you can get similar to the one we had during the fires. There is an app you can get to where are we got here? You can also get the up-to-date information on the federal government's Coronavirus Australia app, available on the App Store, Google Play, and the government's WhatsApp channel. The police commissioner said three fines were issued in the 24 hours prior to this going up. So 4 days ago, only 3 fines were released, and he was personally reviewing every ticket, and if it appeared unreasonable, it would be withdrawn immediately. In response to concerns about the ability to exercise in public, he said police were committed to taking a sensible approach. He's quoted as saying, "I get it, we want people to be able to stay fit and physically and psychologically healthy, but of course, if I said it's okay to sit on a park bench, then everyone's going to go to the park and we're going to end up back where we started." On Wednesday, so this is, what would that be, last Wednesday? It's Sunday now. No, it's a week ago. A 39-year-old man was fined for a week ago? Anyway, it says on Wednesday, so whenever that was, a 39-year-old man was fined for washing windscreens at a set of traffic lights and a 59-year-old man was fined for drinking in a park with 3 other friends and refusing to leave. When your video's so long that the camera cuts out. The Commissioner also revealed an external team of infection specialists employed by Australian Border Force would soon board the 8 cruise ships sitting off the New South Wales coast. He said the experts would provide an independent health assessment of the 8,500 crew members on the ships. If the crew are fit and healthy, then I have no hesitation asking the Border Force to enforce the orders to leave our waters. The Department of Home Affairs has ordered all cruise ships to leave Australian waters, but Commissioner Fuller has said the decision was being appealed. So again, obviously, infecting cruise ships so that when they return to their home countries, it very quickly spikes the spread of the virus. If you want to see that the Chinese virus theory is true or not. But that's all I've got for this video. I do hope you enjoyed it. I wanted to finish with that bit because there is a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, and hopefully towards the end of June, sort of beginning of July, we'll actually be able to start getting back into that normalcy across the entire world, and being able to get back into doing all of the things that we would normally do. But yeah, that's all I've got for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. I'm so sorry that it's so long, but it is what it is. And like I said, I'm only going to do these every 3 months. So if you've made it this far through, thank you very much. If you liked it, give it a big thumbs up, as I said. Also make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you're new here and want to see more videos from me and be notified when I upload them. Again, all links in the description down below, as well as that the link to my video for things you can do while in the lockdown. And yeah, until next time guys, keep it screwed on.